my God. All right, guys. So we're leaning into fall, and we need to have a serious talk about mental health. We discovered over the past week the tragic passing of 24-year-old non-leaguer Jack Badger. So we'll be talking about that a little bit this evening. We'll be talking about mental health during our boy talk. But on the other foot, Kai Havertz is a hoe.
Major
You know
hoe.
why?
We all
And
know
we'll
why.
get that. Well, yeah, exactly. And we'll get to that in a little bit. Welcome to the Snobby Boys. All right, everybody, welcome to the Snobby Boy Podcast. I'm your host, Colby. That's my wrong way. That's my homeboy, Joe. I haven't done that in a while. Holy shit balls.
You know it's been a crazy day football wise when that's
God.
how we're starting off.
It's been a crazy weekend in general, man.
Oh my God.
Between the kiddos matches, this match today, holy hell, we'll get into it in a little bit. But before we do, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so you know when we have content dropping. All right. Joe.
Si, senor.
What are we talking about tonight, bro?
Tonight, we will obviously be starting with the Arsenal review recap. Dive into that, all the crazy shit that went down in that match. I just finished watching about an hour ago, so it is very fresh in my mind. I'm excited to talk about that one. We're going to be jumping into a little bit of City news. Wasn't a whole lot this week leading up to the match, but a few things to chat about there. Like Colby mentioned, when we get to our bro talk, it's going to be a little bit of mental health discussion time. Seasonal depression is real, and it's going to be kicking off here real soon with a lot of folks. So we wanted to get ahead of the curve.
Already.
If it hasn't already, yes. So we'll kind of either catch you up, try to cut it off a little, and talk through some of that. And then, what's it going to take to get City to make a St. Mark's throwback kit? That'll be good. What's it going to take there?
What's it going to take? I think it's long overdue.
Absolutely. We have a reveal on Wednesday during our Champions League match review. We teased a little bit that we're going to be officially unveiling a new merch that you can get from our store. And then we're going to wrap it up with a little bit of Who's That Baller at the end. Hopefully we get some folks in the chat and y'all can participate with us Wednesday night. It was a lot of fun. We had a couple folks participating with us. So hopefully y'all jump into that with us as well. So that's kind of the rundown for tonight.
Yep. And so we're going to do things a little bit differently than we've been doing it normally. Usually we kind of just go through a little run through of the match. We're going to step away from doing that. I'm kind of happy that we're doing it because honestly, you all know what the fuck happened during the match. We don't have to fucking redo it. We're going to give our opinions. We're going to give our reviews on what happened proper. So, Joe, let's go on with that.
All right. Well, let's kick it off with pre-match and lead up to the game. How are you feeling ahead of time before the match kicked off? Anxious, excited, nervous?
Well, I'm gonna preface this that I started my shit talking at my kid's game.
Which was yesterday, right?
Which was yesterday. Aside from the slights that I threw up on Instagram through our story, which, guys, that's where we post most of our stuff on Instagram. Follow our story. It's a lot better than what we post, I promise. But anyways, we had gotten to the field a little early, and flags weren't set up. A couple of the goals were out of position. So as I was walking around helping out the coaches, I see somebody in a red Saka shirt. And I walk over and I said, in my most Mighty Duck from Iceland coach, Gunner's going down. He goes, oh yeah? You think that's going to happen? I was like, I'm fairly certain that that might happen. I was like, you guys don't have Odegaard, and we still may be up Kevin. So, he's like, yeah, it's all that money you spend. I was like, funny because we have a negative net spend and you have a over positive net spend. So
By a
don't talk
large
shit.
margin.
Yeah, don't talk shit. But walking into it, I had high hopes, but we all know what Arsenal does, especially when they come up against us. It is a high press, low block the whole time. And that's definitely what we saw today. But the anticipation of it was there. I did not expect this or for us to walk away with this and in any easy fashion whatsoever. It was going to be a scrap till the very end. So that's kind of where my head was at with it. What about you?
Absolutely was going to be a dogfight. Was very rarely do these kind of matches turn into like a one-sided affair.
Mm-hmm.
As much as we enjoyed when we would throttle United 6-1, 6-0, those kind of things, that's a rare occurrence in any of these kind of big six matches. Normally, it's going to be a dogfight. Um, I was very excited all weekend. I had a very full soccer weekend myself with my kids. Um, so big weekend for us. So I was full on footy mode all weekend, knowing that this was going to be the kind of culmination of my weekend of watching the game and then jumping on here to talk about it. I felt good. I felt like we were going to come away with a positive result. Kind of some of the things you mentioned. They're going to be without their playmaker. We'd been in good form, so I anticipated the boys showing up and doing well, knowing that it was
Mm-hmm.
going to be a big fight on our hands
Yeah.
because exactly what you said. They're going to come out, they're going to high press, and if the high press doesn't work, they're going to immediately drop back into a low block and hope to win it and then counter.
Mm-hmm.
That's their tried and
Rinse and
true
repeat with
strategy.
them.
Yes,
Yep.
exactly.
Rinse and repeat.
So I was very much excited, anxious, ready to go. And then but I had to wait a little bit longer than most to watch. I didn't get to it.
That's usually the case for us, by the way, guys.
Yeah, with
I'm still getting lucky on being able to watch certain matches live. I
mhm.
don't know how, but yeah, typically Joe's late to the party.
Yes. So oftentimes, if you follow, if you a lot of us, a lot of y'all on here follow us on X pretty heavy. Usually we go quiet right around game time, and that's typically because of us both being heavily
Busy.
soccer dads and
Yeah.
taking care of the kids on the pitch first and foremost. But yeah, I'm almost always late because of game time scheduling. Because both of mine usually play between 10 and 2 on Saturday
Hmm.
and Sunday, which is prime time
Yeah.
for kickoff. So we know what happened.
Hmm.
We know the final score, 2-2. How do you feel post match about the result? And then we'll kind of dive into some of the gritty nitty gritty.
Um, I mean, a draw. We didn't lose points. That's all I really wanted for today is to not walk or to walk away with something. Um, so I mean, I feel blessed in that regard. Um, there were points in the match where I felt we kind of took the foot off the gas, the proverbial gas, if you will. Um, but on the whole, really, I mean, we did the best that we could. We didn't have Kev today, which, the news circulated that he still could potentially feature in this game. Obviously, he didn't. What was his lack of contribution a massive factor in today's match? I don't really believe so. I don't think that there was anybody who was getting through that low block. And then, especially going into the second half, they had taken off. I forget who it was for Ben White. I think it was Saka actually.
Saka. Yep.
Yeah, they took him off for Ben White and made a 5-man back line. And I mean, it was just like, what are you going to do with that?
And then
Jurian
they had
Jurian Timber had a fantastic game. His defending was probably some of the best on the pitch for them today. Saliba even though he was more of a pest than anything. And the same thing with Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel's that header in, especially after Kyle was poking his fucking belly the whole time.
That shit was funny to watch.
It was funny to watch, but I knew that was fucking coming. I'm not gonna lie. When he was sitting there and he was fucking with him, I said, "You're not here. You're in your
You're,
feelings right now, and you need to fucking stop." And then that was the fucking result.
Yeah. Can we, now that you brought that moment up, fuck off VAR.
Yeah.
Martinelli clearly backed into Ederson and prevented him from making any kind of play on the ball. The fact that there was a quick no foul is garbage, because that happened the corner right before that. They did it twice. He did the exact same move. He ran towards him, turned his back, and stuck his elbow out to make himself bigger to prevent a player from making a play. Utter shit. Shit.
The 6-yard box was crowded heavily on every set piece today. They were doing everything to block Ederson out. I mean, if that wasn't the case, he would have had a similar game to the way that Raya did today. I mean, Raya was actually did very well today.
Phenomenal game for him.
Especially on set pieces. Him coming and punching the ball out of the box or grabbing it out of the air. I mean, he looked veteran as fuck. Like, he looked really good. I was a little jealous. But yeah, it was not fun to watch that part of the match.
That was super frustrating. Super duper frustrating when that went in. Because Gabriel, quality defender, fucking obnoxious as shit on the pitch. He drives me nuts. Because he thinks he's king shit at all times, which is fine. I don't begrudge somebody that. When you're doing it against my team, though, I don't like that. I don't like that behavior. And I don't, and it's, and I felt like, let's go back to the beginning, because I feel like right off the rip.
Oh, dude.
This game lost total control of it right from the jump, and it led to all the crazy shit that happened in the first 45 minutes right off the bat, with Havertz just
checking Rodri.
Clearly making a play right into him with an elbow out, and there's no card given. There's no warning. There's no foul. It's just nothing.
It's just,
I don't care if it...
I feel like this is typical Gunner shit, though. This is, the dark arts are their thing. They need it in order to be able to stay relevant. I mean, and that was the start of it right off the rip.
They were dirty as shit the whole time.
Yep.
And Michael Oliver had an opportunity to take control of the match early and say, we're not doing this bullshit. And he didn't even award a foul. When you watched on replay, he clearly was running, made a move into Rodri's space, and stuck an arm out. That, whether it's 2 seconds into the match or 85 minutes into the match, is a fucking foul at minimum. And the fact that Rodri couldn't really defend himself in that situation because the guy's moving into his space is a very clear yellow to me. And when that happened and there was no caution, no punishment for it, that set the tone where Arsenal's like, cool, we're going to be able to get away with whatever the fuck we want today. And they took every opportunity to do that.
Yep. But just to equalize on that, Holland gave no fucks right after that and gave Saliba the business. So he got his back. That was nice.
He was, and he at least was a little more like subtle, because he was. You could argue that he was at least making a play. Yeah, at least Holland was. You could argue was making a play towards the ball. We knew what he was doing, though. He was setting the tone. He was going to say, "If y'all going to do that shit, I'm here for it. Let's go."
Yeah,
and then for him to. Yeah. So to do that, but then, and to not only set the tone physically like that, but then very shortly after set the tone by putting the ball in the back of the net was even better. I want to see it on the scoreboard more so than that. I was screaming. I thought Savio had blown it. I was like, play him in. And then he was like, bro, Joe, I got this, bro. I'm gonna let the space open up even more, and I'm just gonna cushion a beautifully weighted through ball right into my boy Holland's path. and he didn't even wait. He just like in
More of
stride.
that.
Oh my gosh! Thank you, Savi. That was one of my talking points. Was his? He was absolutely on fire all game. I thought he was
Yep.
dangerous.
Today was his day.
He played so well, and that through ball into Holland, and then Holland not taking like a touch or anything, and just like in stride hitting it with his left as he was like running forward to not give Raya time to like get set or get down or low enough. That's again, he is not a tap in merchant. That is a difficult goal to do with a keeper running at you like that, and to do it in stride, that was absolutely magic.
A little more gushing on Savio, dude. Like I said earlier, like
Please
today
do.
was his day. Today was absolutely his day. And the one thing that I want to take note and let everybody notice that I saw at least was as many times he got knocked off the ball, as many times as they were put the dark arts on him, it did not phase him once. He played like a vet. He played like a motherfucking pro. And like the fact that he's come in and he's settled so fast and he is
He's
able to
20.
produce and contribute the way that he is at 20. I mean, he looks like a kid, somebody in their prime, somebody between the ages of 26, 29, somebody who's just, making the biggest strides. And it's if we're doing this now, what's going to be later? I need to know. I cannot wait to see.
He's way more of a finished product or
Than
farther
we
along
thought
in
he
his
was,
progress
and
than I
most
thought he was.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he and as wingers, we've seen it with Riyadh. We saw it with Jack when he came in. It's hard to assimilate into the city side under what Pep wants, and he has hit the ground running and looks like he's been
Mhm.
playing for us for years, coming through the
Yeah.
academy like Phil or Bob or Rico. Like it's crazy, and I guess that's credit to um, Michelle over at Girona, because he's clearly they were coaching up very similar styles where he got here and was already comfortable with kind of the play style, because he hasn't missed a beat and was absolutely
Yeah.
fantastic. He was one of the ones that for sure stood out to me. Um,
Mhm.
Man,
Yeah.
can't say enough good things about how well he did
No, we
on.
can't. I'm sure there will be more throughout us talking tonight, but moving forward, Party starts the shit right back up.
Mhm.
Decides he wants to shove Rodri,
He's
and
yeah,
that
clearly cutting
that
through the box and got his hands all over him. Clearly, and Rodri's knee is part of it was his plant foot.
it was.
But when you're getting shoved and grabbed as you're cutting like that, it adds
Mhm.
to the risk factor of something like that happening.
Mhm.
So it wasn't just he slipped and he hurt his knee because of that.
Mhm.
It has everything to do with what you were just talking about, because Partey was on him literally the entire time he was moving through the box.
Yeah. Well, and another thing that the pundits were talking about during the match is that a lot of these fields are not regular full on grass pitches. A lot of them are composite with
Like a
synthetic
hybrid type thing,
materials,
right?
like a
Yeah.
hybrid thing going on. And you have to almost wonder, especially like on the lower layer of grass, if that isn't the artificial, and if your cleat is getting bunched up in that, and it's making you basically you when you watched his leg when it stopped. I mean, it locked.
Mhm.
There was nothing he could have done at that point, especially because he was already on his way over onto the ground. But
Mhm.
as soon as it locked up, man, I was just like, dude, it didn't look good, man. I hope for his sake and for our sake that this isn't going to be a long spell with him out, because I can certainly see him probably not taking any time on Tuesday from the way that it looked. Hopefully, physios come out and they say something different, but we'll see. Um,
Can we get into Michael Oliver again?
yes,
Because shortly after this, they equalize off of a bullshit restart. And
yes.
credit to Calafiore for the finish.
Cavaliere.
That left-footed finish into the top bin was phenomenal.
It was pretty.
But
It was pretty.
Michael Oliver, basics of fucking refereeing. When you pull the captains to have a conversation, that now necessitates a whistle to restart play. You cannot pull the captains over, have a talk, tell them to go relay some message to the rest of the team to probably say, calm the fuck down. That's probably what that was.
This
And
is your
then,
fault, fucker.
and then one, not blow the whistle to restart play and let them take a quick restart into the space where you have pulled our right back from. You told him he has to leave that space to come talk to you and then send him back out. And while he's trying to do what you told him to do, which is relay the message to the team, you allow a quick restart without a whistle. That is utter horseshit, dude. That is not how it's supposed to work. That's some grassroots U9 level officiating right there, not Premier League highest
We
level.
would know.
We would know. I see it every weekend. That's just great finish, but that should not have counted. That should have been pulled back because they did not wait for a whistle. There was no whistle. He turned his back and it was like, all right, fuck it. Whatever you guys do is cool. No, that's not how. That's why every one of our players was throwing their hands up and bitching about it because they were right. There was no whistle to restart play. That goal should not have been in. That should not have counted at all.
He was out of control, like we said, right off rip. He had no control over the game. He didn't even seem like he wanted to have control over the game. He was fully okay with a bunch of shithousery happening today, which it did. If there's got to be something that the FA does in punishment to him that is a little bit worse than it's been before, because this was utterly acceptable. And I've heard it since the match has been over. I've heard it from both sides about Michael Oliver, and I agree with both sides. And that's very hard for me to do, is to agree with both sides. I will always wear my blue tinted goggles, but on this day, this match, I have to see what they had to say, and I did. And there needs to be a harsh punishment for him. There needs to be like a month of matches, and there was one fan from Gunner side that was like calling for him to never ever ref a City Arsenal match again because of the fucking shithousery that he produces through this.
I hate when this happens where a referee is that poor where it becomes the story of the fucking match. I wish
Yeah.
it was not the case. And this is across any sport. When the referee decides that they're going to make themselves the story, it's utter crap. And it's also crap where the referees union and all the referees protect one another when one of them is doing bullshit like this. You're never allowed to criticize a referee. The announcers at least on the American side across the board are not allowed and specifically told you cannot criticize, belittle, question referees' decisions on air. You can't even do it in press conferences or you'll get fined in any league. If you say anything about the referee, you get a big ass fine from whoever the governing body is. That shit has to stop. When a referee is poor like this, there needs to be accountability. We've talked about this
That's the fucking word.
We've talked about this on the pod before with this kind of shit. I am so tired of referees defending their counterparts when they are fucking up. I had on the sidelines when I was coaching my older daughter's team, questioning a call pretty much, and he was pretty much, well, it's the referee's opinion. No, it's not the referee's opinion. Granted, it is at the time, but that is not an excuse to justify shitty decisions on the pitch, and it should be questioned, and it should be held accountable and punished when bullshit like this happens for both sides, if you want to call it that. But I'm so tired of from U9, U10 all the way up where you're not allowed to criticize officials when it's warranted, like these situations. And when both sides in a match are both saying the same kind of shit, you did a crappy job. It's not just like one side whining and the other side being like, fuck off. It's both sides saying you are shit and something needs to be done about it.
Yeah, this isn't coming from a team that's getting the fucking ever living shit beat out of them. It's two equal sides saying, dude, what the fuck are you doing? What is this? Absolute shithouse.
And somewhere
What?
in that exchange, Ederson got a yellow card. I was like,
Yeah,
what the fuck did he do to get it out of everything that's happened? He's the one that gets a yellow card out of all this. Like,
and honestly, there was a couple of times where I felt that he produced cards purely based on verbal abuse that he was getting, which he fucking deserved.
mm-hmm.
And the thing where you're talking about, you like U9 to U12, not talking shit to refs and stuff like that. Like, honestly, some of these refs. eh, Let me just say it like this: if you have people who are yelling at you for the same things on both sides, this is a learning lesson for you. This is a time where you should be saying, well, if they know that and it's on equal sides, maybe I should
Maybe I'm the
even the
problem.
playing field and fix this problem before it gets too far out of hand and causes a whole other level of chaos that's not even on the pitch. It will start off pitch, and it
Mm-hmm.
does most of the time.
Yeah, 100%. And their job, especially at that age group, first and foremost is player safety and make sure the game goes well.
Player
But you
safety.
need, and when you, and then we saw it today, it carried
Mhm.
over from the very first, what, 3 seconds of the game, the
Literally.
rest of the way. And it became unsafe for the players because of the emotion. Because we know both sides wanted this game. They wanted the 3 points. They wanted to win because, adrenaline's going,
Mhm.
testosterone's out the window, through the roof. So you
Well,
need to
and the
manage this shit.
implications of
Like,
what this may mean later in the season.
yes,
Having such a big
exactly.
match early on in the season, this is going to take hold for what may come at the end of the season. We don't know what this race is going to be, and as we see right now, it's a very tight race. And when we're talking about the difference between a point and we're actually a goal behind in differential to Liverpool. So I mean, like, and it's still early in the season. It's not like we're halfway through the season. You know what I mean? But like, it still is going to have an implication for later.
Always
We
does,
each side needed points coming out of this regardless.
for sure. To kind of go with the Oliver situation, I'm not mad that Trossard got the boot. The first yellow, again,
Well,
was
let's explain what that yellow is actually for,
the
rather than what everybody
yeah
thought it was.
the the first yellow that he got for pulling for the shirt pull and pulling him back a little bit. I think it was Bernie that he had a hold of.
Mhm.
He was delaying play in
He
a
was.
promising attack, so
Mhm.
I can see why that was a yellow. Pause there. All the shit that went on before this in the 32nd to first minute, there was
Mhm.
other shit that was more of a yellow card that was not called. So I can understand being frustrated as an Arsenal fan that was what gets a yellow card. That's what gets a booking. The second time he gets carded, I don't think you can be bitching about at all. He did two things wrong, just like Declan Rice did two things wrong when he got his second yellow card a few matches ago. One, you made no play on the ball and you just ran straight into Bernie and
Yep.
leveled him from behind.
Mhm.
Clear yellow. And then you smashed the ball to the other side of the fucking
On the
pitch
pitch. Yeah.
after the whistle was blown. So
Yeah.
again, that by
Delay of
itself
game.
was a second yellow card.
Yeah.
So I get a gripe on the first one because what that wasn't a card earlier because I saw other people pulling shirts and it wasn't called.
Yes.
However, in that one instance, he earned two. So you really can't be pissy about
Boom,
that.
boom, too.
Right after you can't be pissy that he got sent off. I'm sorry. You can be upset about the first one, but and again, you knew you were already on a yellow card. So why are you bulldozing into a player and not making a play on the ball? And then why are you even kicking the ball away? You've now put yourself in this situation because you know you are on a yellow already. So
Mhm.
I don't feel bad for you because you made a stupid decision considering the game situation at that point. So to me, warranted sending off. And again, and game situation, bro. There's 20 seconds left, maybe, and you decide to do that before halftime. Like, I, I just, I don't feel bad for you one bit because
No.
of all of those factors playing into the one situation.
Mhm. Couple of the things I before we kind of like push more into the second half, because we've
Yeah,
really
yeah.
been kind of sitting around the first half in our talk so far. A couple of things. First thing is commentators actually made a comment about the way that City reload, and they used for the Fernandinho and Rodri situation as the basis of the conversation. And that's something that I think that just needs to be echoed, because that's something that I've said time and time over. One of the good things that we are good at doing is reloading. We don't have to do a whole system switch, get this player to be our focal or our feature. No, it's next man up mentality. I love that mentality. And it reminds me a lot of, I hate bringing American football into it, but I'm going to do it every fucking time. It reminds me of my Pittsburgh Steelers. Granted, the last 8 years have not been the greatest for us. One of the things that the Rooney family is known for doing, especially with their football operations and their general manager, is they're good at reloading the position rather than trying to revamp it.
It's a reload, not a rebuild, because
Right.
they recognize, and we saw this briefly a little bit in some of the documentaries. I like referencing these because it gives you a behind the scenes look,
Sure.
where they have the board up and they're like, you know what, at this position, we got Fernandinho. He's 31, 32. We want him around for another year or two, but he's getting to that point where we need to start looking at his successor. So we
Hmm.
have him already in the building before we say bye to Fernandinho and then have to go find a replacement to fit in right away. We already had somebody ready to go in Rodri, who was getting game time, could take over, but was
Hmm.
also, contributing at the time, but they have the foresight to look at positions ahead of time and say we need to
Hmm.
have a somebody in the building that can learn and take over for when his time is up instead
Right.
of reacting after the fact,
Right.
which is
Or
which is smart business.
just reacting, reacting quick at all. Making an impulse buy based on your needs is never going to create any sort of success. It needs time to work itself.
Absolutely. It's like
Um,
again with in the American sports model, there's
mm,
every professional league has a draft. And when you draft for need, that's always a bad strategy to go into a draft saying we need to draft a starter at this position. We need to draft a new point guard. We need to draft a new wide receiver. We need to draft a new center in hockey. That's
mhm,
never a sound strategy, because then you're kind of handcuffed into going away from your draft board and looking for certain things instead of saying, you know what, let's get the best player
mhm.
available. So
or
there's definitely a
or if
parallel
you
there.
are, or if you are doing that, do it for the future. Don't do it for the present.
Right. Absolutely.
If you know you've got a quarterback who, he's 33. He's not had the best career, but he's had, you know, shining moments, especially later on in his career. You still have probably 2, 3 seasons left in him. That's when you draft your quarterback. I know he's on
Mhm.
his way out. I want him. I want my next quarterback to develop underneath of him. I want him in our system long enough to know it, so that when his number is called, I don't have to ask questions. I
Mhm.
do not have to second guess my plan. My plan will be executed because he understands the playbook and he understands what's expected. The standard is the standard. And that's something that we do here at City, and I freaking love it.
It
Um,
creates confidence in the front office and
it
trust
should.
as a
And
as a
in the fan
fan
base.
base. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
One of the
What
other
else did
things
you
too
have?
that I want to comment on is, and it's something that I have consistently went after, and that's cleaning up the box or rebounding, whatever you guys want to call it. Our recovery in and around the box today in both halves is bar none some of the best that I've seen, especially with us contending with a low block, especially their low block. I was very proud to see that people were standing at the edge of the box and even getting in the box after shots were attempted
Mhm.
and trying to clean up the mess. that's something that we have not been very good at, and then it's something that I see that we're working towards, and I'm happy that we're moving in that direction because there have been so many opportunities and shots that we have missed from not having players in the right position.
Positional awareness is so just as important as speed, agility, all those kind of things. Having the smarts to know where you're supposed to be at the right time, just
Mm,
as much of a skill that you could have.
mm,
If you're looking at, used to be FIFA, but FC 25, attributes. You have your pace, your physicality, your defense, your, those kind of things.
mhm,
Mental side, having the IQ, the soccer IQ, football IQ, couldn't be more important to have that, and doing those things. And like you mentioned, it's something we've talked about in past pods going into last season, and seeing
mhm.
the focus be put on clearly because they're doing it more. So somebody was putting that bug in their ears to say, "Hey, we need to make more of an effort in and around the box to get feet on balls and put them into the box into the back of the net, and
Or even
defensively."
reset.
Yeah, and then on the other side, defensively, clear that shit out of there. Clean up the
Mhm.
trash, get it away from Ederson
Yep.
or Ortega, whoever's in between the pipes at the time.
Yep.
I felt like at halftime, it's disappointing to be down 2-1. I don't think that, like we've mentioned, I don't think the scoreline was indicative of the performance.
No, especially when you look at the possession percentage, we're 91 to like
It was crazy.
literally 8.
So,
Yeah, no.
and then for them to get that lead, and pretty much in the 45th, 46th minute, not how you want to go into halftime. It's nice when you're going in halftime when they just lost a player and you got to play a person down. But
Which was in the
God,
cards.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
in the cards. Didn't work out that way.
facts. But if the 2-1 scoreline going into halftime, not to me a fair portrayal of how the match was going, because it, we were, to me, the better side for sure, and there's just two situations that I think personally could have been called differently, and then it's a different result. And then they come out. First thing we see is Ben White standing at the sideline, coming in, and it's announced that he's coming in for Saka. So we instantly know. And as soon as Trossard was going off, we already knew this was coming. That they were going to go to a back five, and then they were going to, with Saka coming off, you knew, and Trossard was already gone. So all of their forwards at that point are no longer on the pitch. It's going to be a 5 or 6 man back
Yeah, I was going
line
to say,
with
you
like
can even call it a
three.
sixth man with Thomas Partey. He was even back there at times. So,
Yeah, so it was congested along the 18, because that's
mhm.
pretty much where the entire second half was played, was right on the edge of their penalty box for a solid probably 38 minutes of the 45 in the second half,
Yep,
all
that
told.
sounds that sounds about right.
Around that time, any other time is just the ball getting kicked and chasing, and then the time it takes to get the ball back. Because all they did was hit it long. Kyle would chase it, hit it back to Ederson, and then we would just reset and go back in. Um,
Mhm.
I thought we played really well in the first half, all things considered. Second
Sure,
half, as much possession as we had, to me,
felt
it
just a
was
little off it.
wasteful possession. We
Mhm.
played right into their hands by having Kyle, Ruben, and occasionally Kovacic taking 20-yard hits into a crowd of
The
16,
whole
7,
10 or the whole
and
9,
all
I
of,
should say.
yeah, it was, we would spend a good chunk of the time casually playing it from Ruben to Akanji out to Doku.
Mhm.
Doku would take a couple moves, pass it back to Akanji. We would just slowly pass it back to the other side. So all Arsenal really had to do at that point was slowly shift with the ball, and they had 6 dudes in the back. So they didn't have to move very much. It was pretty much just a couple steps here, and we're right back in the same possession. It was entirely too slow. We didn't have anybody making diagonal runs. Once we got it wide out to either Bernie or Doku or Savio, Savino, whoever, there was
Right.
nobody making any diagonal runs into the corner to get to receive a ball or underlapping them where we could try to get a through ball. There wasn't really any times where we had somebody popping up into the. It was tiny spaces between the two lines, so there wasn't a lot of room, but there wasn't anybody dropping in there to receive a pass to at least pull the defenders out of the way a little bit and then play it back to create some space. It was just very slow for a good chunk of the time, and we weren't creating openings for those longer shots either. So it was not great. It's nice to keep possession. That's awesome, but it seemed like it was possession just for possession's sake for a good chunk of the time.
Hmm.
I felt like it was screaming for Phil and Jack to come on a little bit sooner because they're gonna they're gonna be able to pick up spaces a little bit better. And if we're just gonna have possession around there, we don't necessarily need Ruben and Akanji in that
No.
space. We need like John Stones. We need maybe drop. Yoshko was very dangerous when he'd pick it up. His shots were way better than anything we saw
Yeah.
from. And kudos to Raya. A couple of those, he just stood on his head and made some
Hmm.
amazing saves. A couple, one of them, I think it was one might have been from Yoshko. He smashed one. He dove and saved it and let a rebound go, but the ball
Hmm.
spun straight up into the air and then straight back down right to him to catch it instead of like
Yep.
deflecting someplace else. I was like, how that's just unlucky for us in that
Yeah.
situation. Like great save, but then the ball could have spun anywhere else, but it decided to go straight up and then straight down so we could easily catch it and then fall on it again. It's like, come on, man.
Hmm.
So I was frustrated in the second half mostly because we weren't making a lot of runs in behind. We weren't moving like there wasn't a lot of movement happening along the
No.
18.
No. The off ball movement was poor at
Yeah,
best.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that part was very I was yelling at the TV, someone please make a diagonal run in behind just to create some space for somebody else,
Hmm.
please. Or move the ball a
Well,
little quicker.
here's
Something.
another thing. Here's another thing too. Even talking about the corners of top of the box and the play around that, we have consistently, whether there's a low block or not, we have an issue getting dispossessed centrally, especially when we're at the top of the box trying to enter. What do we got to do to fix this? What is it going to take in order for us to realize that we can't just barrel a Phil Foden into a wall of three people and expect him to come out on the other side and be able to make a shot? Like, it's just, you got to pull people away some way somehow. And if we're gonna push each other or push these players to work centrally, you need more off ball movement centrally, or else it's not going to work. You can put all the off ball movement on either side of the wing. What does that do? What does that do centrally? Nothing. It's very that was probably my biggest bugaboo, and it has been my biggest bugaboo over the last couple of weeks. Is the fact that we consistently get dispossessed in that position. We work so well on the wings, and we have gotten, I think, better at producing stuff into the box, especially we're talking about from way out in the corner. Savio has been top notch in that, absolutely. But there was
Yeah.
we did come across a nice change of pace though, um, helping us stay in our final third for the most part. I mean, to me, I felt like us being down there. It was saying like, all right, it's our time. You ain't doing nothing with this ball. It's our ball. It's our house,
Hmm.
our ball. You're already up one. We ain't having it. Let's go on with this. We're gonna make our life hell. I mean, I don't think we they did, and they could have. They had many opportunities to, but I think the substitutions are really what helped this game transform, especially in the last couple of minutes. I mean, we'll get there in a couple of seconds, but
Yeah. Let's talk about Mr. Stones. He came in for Kyle. Instant
Johnny, Johnny
Johnny
Stone.
Stones. Instantly much better because Kyle, I don't think he had a bad game. I thought Kyle played really well on it overall, but
Mm-hmm,
he became very predictable on the edge of the box, what he was trying to do. A couple of really good strikes. He forced a great, strong save from David Raya at one point, but it
mm-hmm.
came very obvious that every time he received the ball, he was going to fake like he was going to shoot and then just pass it off to the right.
Right.
Arsenal were like, we're good now. We know what you're doing. Cool. Johnny offered something different in that role. He was actually one of the first ones that I saw making runs in behind and trying to create space for somebody else. Because you
Mm-hmm.
have to have people willing to make runs just to open up space, knowing that you're not going to receive the ball. but still willing to make a run to create space for a teammate is selfless, hard work. And he started doing that. And I am so glad that he was the one that equalized for us at the end,
Mm-hmm.
because his change of pace and different types of runs being made and different positions he was taking up from where Kyle was made all the difference in that goal to me, because
He wasn't scared to crash the box. I mean, that's the difference between him and Kyle is Kyle likes staying in that little quadrant over off to the right. He doesn't like pushing himself forward, which I'm for. I don't want him doing that either. But with the way everything had shifted to that point with who was on the pitch, it made it a lot easier for Johnny to get down into that position and be able to make that recovery goal. Lucky that it was a deflection too, because if Rayo would have lifted his hand up any higher, that was a deflection straight up.
mhm,
That was not going in. Lucky that we got it
yeah,
in. You had asked in here, moving on through this, which players stood out most to you?
I did. We talked about him earlier on. I think Savino was absolutely fantastic for us.
Mm-hmm.
He really stood out to me. I thought he had a fantastic game. Uh, I really liked Bernie's chippiness with
Mm.
Arsenal. He's for whenever we have these big games against Liverpool, United, he's always
Especially him and Gabby getting into it. That
yeah,
was fun.
he's always here for a good scrap. He's one
Yeah.
of the smaller guys on the pitch, but he's not taking shit from nobody. So I thought he
No.
had a really good game. Um,
Straight up Mighty
d-
Mouse.
right? Exactly. Um, and then for the last one, I think Ruben was just rock solid in the back for us, and he was often put in positions where he would have receiving a ball kind of at midfield in that first half and having somebody barreling down on him, and he had to be cool and calm under pressure.
Mhm.
And he was that anytime we needed it, and was playing smart to either Ederson or finding his way out of trouble. So for me, Savino clearly this first star, if you will. Bernie
Sure.
star number two if we're going to go hockey go
Right.
hockey a little bit, and then the third star for me would probably be Ruben.
I will have to echo Savino being the first star of the match. His play was consistent. He didn't get rattled. That was the big thing for me, especially with the amount of bullying that I felt he was receiving. Um, Second star probably will have to go to Vardiol because he was consistent throughout the
Hmm.
entire match. He
Facts.
was where he was supposed to be when he was supposed to be there. He helped contribute, especially late in the game when we were trying to equalize the match at that point. Um, and he just, for me, his stoicness. I mean, I guess maybe that would be the right word to use. He's not a boisterous type of person. I mean, I don't think most soccer players are, or most football players are, but he just has this real calm, stable like essence about him.
Even
And
keel.
I go even keeled. The Rolls Royce comparison probably is the best comparison you can give him because he's just smooth. He's just smooth all the time. He doesn't get the same thing with that I said about Savino. He didn't get rattled. He didn't let
Yep.
anything get to him. He stayed the course. That was commendable for me. And then I'll give Ruben his due. I'll give him an honorable mention. Um, I don't really feel that there was a third star. I feel like everybody that we had on did an equal part for the most part in the match. There wasn't somebody who lacked more so over the others. I'm sure people will give tons of shit to Daku, tons of shit about I don't know, pick a fucking player. But I felt somebody will say something stupid about somebody, but I felt like everybody did very well today considering what was at play. Because I mean, it was as we said earlier. I mean, it was nothing short of nefarious the way that Michael Oliver was refereeing this game. It was reckless. It was pure and utter abandonment of the rules of the game in certain points. In my opinion, I just I, the result is what it is. You know what I mean?
Facts. Absolutely. I would echo Yoshiko too, because he was, like you said, consistent going forward and playing his usual role defensive. So
Mm-hmm.
big fan of that.
Faux show.
On the flip side, anybody not have a strong performance for you?
Again, everybody did their job today. There wasn't one person that I could have said he was the weak link. I mean, if I'm gonna call a weak link, it probably would have been Rodri just because he was getting the business. You know what I mean? But that wasn't to say that he was having a bad match. It was he was getting the root of all the bullshit that was being fed from Arsenal. It was almost like they had a game plan of trying to take him out, knowing how integral he is to our system.
1000%. I'm so glad you said that, because from the jump with Kai Havertz clearly targeting
Yes.
him from the get go, 100% that was their game plan, was to target him and to seem like physically hurt him,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yep.
some dirty shit.
Again, the dark arts were heavy in this one. People may have not seen it that way, but I certainly saw a lot of shit that if I was refereeing that match would have went a whole different way. And I can tell you that somebody probably would have went off a lot sooner for
100%.
the bullshit.
100%. And um on that note, we kind of watching it with the wifey today. We've talked about Arteta being one of the options in the future
A
whenever
potential replacement.
Pep decides to go.
Mm-hmm.
Based on what we just talked about and the way he clearly set up his team,
That's not
no
City Ball.
thanks. No thanks.
That's not City Ball.
For me, he's not welcome back
No.
anymore at this point.
No.
And that's fine, because he was an Arsenal. He was a gooner before he ever was an understudy to Pep.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if this shouldn't be, I guess, a surprise based on his behavior. And he was doing a lot of shithousery on the sidelines himself, with keeping a ball from people, moving into people's spaces when he shouldn't be, to prevent quick restarts and things like that. But for me, there are other options. No, thank you. I'll move on, and I don't want him anywhere near our club, to be honest with you.
Nope.
You're not welcome back at the Etihad, in my
I
opinion.
would happily take Maresca back before I take him back. And that's not to say that Maresca has done anything bad or anything nefarious towards us. It's just he's not at the top of the chart. Like I'll pick the guy on the bottom of the fucking list before I pick Arteta now.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be somebody who knows all of our players. Because a lot of our guys were here when he was still part of our club, and for him to, what seems like from the outside point of view, say go take out one of their best players, like you said, dark arts, dirty shit. Y'all were clearly doing that,
Straight
and
shit.
I'm not here for that kind of bullshit.
No. I don't want that representing my club. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how we play ball. We play ball with integrity. If we need to get gritty, we will get gritty. But that's not our first point of action. It's not the first thing that we go to. It's let's continue on with the game plan. Let's continue to do what our gaffer has asked us to do and execute it to the best of our ability. He knows this game better than we do. Why wouldn't you listen?
Absolutely. I think during the course of the recap here, I think we covered big moments, decisions that changed the outcome of the match. I think we sufficiently spoke about those particular incidents. So is it break time?
Yeah, I think we can go to a little 30-second intermission. When we come back, little city news. Joe's going to run through a couple of things, and then we're going to get into talking about mental health, because guys, gals, it's important. We need to be aware of it, and especially with what we're about to talk about and whom we're about to talk about and what happened. And the time of the year that it is, couldn't be a better time to talk about it. So when we come back, we'll get into that. And then, of course, we're going to be playing our game later. So give us 30 seconds, and we'll see you then. 30 seconds is over. Welcome back. Joe's going to run into some city news with you. And then, like I said, we're going to get into a little bro talk, talking a little bit about mental health. And we'll also get into our game, Who's That Baller? And last but not least, we'll be doing our reveal of our newest shirt to our merchandise shop. So without further ado, Joe, what have you got there?
Really, the biggest piece of city news that came out this week for me that really stood out while scrolling, following along, reading, what's going on, came from one of our own with City Extra contributor Joe Butterfield. He had a comment, I guess, to follow up a little bit after the Champions League match on Wednesday, probably piling on a little bit after Schmeichel ran his mouth about City and
Right.
and the lack of atmosphere and all that bullshit. One of our own kind of took some shots at City. He said it just feels like the absolute apex of the kind of fixture between City and Inter Milan, where there's City in their Oasis commemorative kit, a special performance from the orchestra where they're playing the anthem. And that's the type of fixture that UEFA, FIFA, the Glazers, Daniel Levy, John Henry, and sadly Manchester City are absolutely begging for. These owners and federations don't want Manchester City in a group stage with Feyenoord, Shakhtar Donetsk, Copenhagen. They want the European Super League. Personally, I don't think there's a whole lot where we can compare our club to those folks, outside of the fact that we were part of that first grouping of Super League talk. I don't think you put us in that same category of greedy UEFA, FIFA, Glazers, Daniel Levy, Liverpool's owners, John Henry, those folks. I don't think our ownership group needs to be in the same breath as those folks. So the fact that one of our own from City Extra decided to come out with this quote kind of irked me a little bit and bumped me, because
I say go find a new side if you're going to fucking come out of your ass like that.
Like, I don't understand. I can understand the spectacle aspect, but that's what this competition for all clubs, not just City, has turned into.
It is the highest honor of every European team to be a part of this competition.
So of course it's going to be a spectacle for the fans to want to come. But then I guess part of what he was mentioning was the
entertainment value of it,
the entertainment value, and then obviously raising the cost of tickets and everything.
I'm sorry. There's a small part of that I've got to address the gripers about being outpriced and shit like that. I'm sorry, but we spend in our American football. I've said this before. We spend double, triple what you pay for a match day game, whether that's Champions League or a regular season at home. If you got problems with money, go get a fucking better job. That's my take on it. Because the consistent griping about this does absolutely nothing. It's not going to change the fact that it's a growing model. It's not going to change the fact that it's a business and it is there to generate revenue. And the only way to generate revenue is to have comparable ticket prices to other leagues, to other sports. Like, yes, this is about making money. Guys, this is a business. This isn't for your pleasure only. This isn't about you. It's about the city. And when there's more commerce coming into your club, that means it's going back out into your community and helping your city grow and sustain things a lot better. Not only for your city, but just for your club alone. I don't understand what the gripe is, man. Money is good. Money is a good thing. Can you be greedy with it? Are there clubs out there that are greedy with it? 100%. You look at some of the clubs around here that are spending useless money. Thing is, at the end of the day, guys, we aren't the model for everybody else. We are our own specific model. And the thing of it is that people are so goddamn bothered by it because they don't understand financial literacy. They don't understand how money works because it's not taught anywhere. Even here in America, we don't get an education in that shit in high school. You got to go to a private school. You got to go to school for finance in order to understand the ins and outs of a business and how that shit works. But from somebody like me who at a very young age understood what taking in a business is and being put in a managerial role at such a young age, I understand that a business needs revenue in order to sustain itself. Otherwise, what are you doing? You're going for broke, right? That's not what we're
Yes.
trying to do here.
Yeah. And the part of it, I we're probably more, I guess, desensitized to not going to matches because of the price of tickets. So it doesn't bother us anymore. I guess over there, it's been more affordable in the past. I'm not sure how recent past, but like before, I guess wasn't that expensive to go. And now
You're getting
that
75 quid for a ticket. It costs us $200 a game to go watch any of our teams here.
so I'm
You're
used
already
to at
capped
this
at a
point.
price.
Yeah, I'm
Exactly.
I'm used to not going to games and seeing them live. So different culture, I'm
I
sure,
guess.
but at the same time, folks wanted Man City to grow. The club has been very consistent with what their um, goal has been since took over. We want to
Mhm.
be a global brand. We want to take over global football. And to do that, for us to become as successful as we have been in winning all these trophies, it takes money. And with the hyper focus on our club with spending and financial fair play, if we want to continue to grow the brand, if we want to become the biggest club in the world, if we want to be the most successful club in the world, part of what comes along with that is increased ticket prices. And
Earning
not
money.
every yeah, and not everybody gets to go to a game, and that's okay. I
I,
don't want
I
like
feel
I,
I feel for the locals to an extent.
yeah, I do get
I
yes,
understand
100%.
that you shouldn't be the casualty in all of this. It should be the
Yes.
people whom are not maybe not don't marginalize the townies, right? But you can do it to the Londoners. You can do it to the people who are traveling from France, Germany, Spain, whatever. You can even do it to us. They're already doing it. It already costs a shit ton for us just to get there. Not let alone fucking going through buying a ticket, which we have to have two different fucking memberships for now. Bullshit. Just to even get considered for a ticket, especially if you're in an OSC. Like, there's a lot of hoops that we've got to jump through already that you guys do not have to.
And when they come here, just to get into one of the four matches was 140 bucks,
120. That's a
130
preseason, y'all.
for a friendly match where most of the first teamers aren't even there to get into
No.
like the supporter section.
We
The
watched we
supporter
watched
section
literally a 66% EDS club when they came over here this past summer
for full price.
for full beyond full price.
Yeah. with
If you're
with a
talking about the
price hike.
conversion of the pound to the American dollar, 75 pound for somebody in our age range to get a ticket versus 120 for a fucking preseason.
Yeah. So I think what you said there was spot on. We sympathize and are with our local city brethren that are over there that seem to be getting marginalized a bit and priced out. There are ways probably for the club to people smarter than me, business wise, can
Right.
figure out a way to sort that out where the folks who got you to where we're at now with their loyalty, with their dollars that they spent year in year out getting season tickets, buying merchandise, following the club all over the place when it wasn't this global powerhouse,
Mm-hmm.
those folks do need to be taken care of. Those folks do need to be treated with the utmost respect because they got us to where we are now. So there's got to be a way to bridge the gap between keeping the local fan base happy and well
And
represented
still right.
and
And
still
still
bringing
being able to
in
attract. Right.
yes. They're, and city have the smartest people in the world running their business. So I'm sure that they're going to figure that out. But just for just from me personally, I have never felt like entitled that I have to be able to afford and go to a home game for either the Orioles, the Nationals, the Ravens when they were the Redskins, the Mystics, whoever, whatever local team. that's in the DMV. I've never felt like I am entitled to go to one of those matches and should be able to afford to go.
Right.
I've never felt that way. I
Mhm.
know that is the case over across the pond where growing up it was more affordable and you felt like you could just go to a game and were should be able to afford to go because the prices were a certain amount. But for me, and from I know Colby's the same boat. Like I've just never felt not. I don't want to call it entitlement because I don't think that's what it is, but just the I guess
Well, no, it is entitlement, but let's not poo-poo up
n-
the word, because that's not where it's coming from. It's not coming from
yeah, yeah.
a place of malice. It's just what the terminology of it is. A lot of times people get caught up on words that seem like there's a negative connotation and completely forget
Yes.
what the actual definition of the word is and just take offense to it. That's not what we're trying to do
I'm not
here.
trying to criticize. It's
There is a certain, and that's not to say that there isn't a certain amount of entitlement to certain team, like fans of teams here in the states. It's a lot of these a lot of these people that have been going to, like in my case for the Steelers, a lot of these people, you can't even get season tickets anymore. You're put on a 30-year wait list, and
yeah.
you have to hope that you're close to the top and somebody's, granddad died and there's nobody to fucking send it down to. Otherwise, you're not really getting into getting into the stadium, and if you are, you're buying somebody else's season tickets, and they're double what they would normally would be.
Yeah, that's the model here for folks across the pond is folks will get those season tickets, but they don't go to most of the games. They turn around and sell those bad boys, sell their 2 seats for that particular game, and make enough money on half of the games to like reinvest that money back into buying next year's season tickets. So it's
Right.
it's a
To this comment too, it's a lot easier to be intimate when you're smaller. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like it's not as easy to reach millions of people that have taken up their space and being a fan of your team. Like that's just part of a growing business. Period. Like it just, I don't care that it was like that back then, because this is where we're at now.
And I do think some
Where we're at now is that yes, there should be more consideration to locals. However, the price out thing is ridiculous to me, because you're pricing out people who live across the pond who want to come over and spend their money in the city and within the club and do all these things, because for them it is an experience. They don't get this all the time. You have the ability to go there at any given point if you're a local. You're not exactly getting priced out. You're technically getting first preference, because, like I said, we have to jump through a bunch of hoops here, especially here in America, just to be able to get to a match. That we have to have the one membership that you now have to pay through City on top of your OSC's dues if you're a part of an OSC. Exactly. If
yes.
you don't evolve, you
Yes.
get relegated and forgotten. And that you
Yes.
have to stay on top of things, and money is the only way you progress.
Pause. Top-notch profile pick, my friend.
Oh
Top-notch.
yeah, absolutely. I love that.
The
Yeah,
Teen
that
Wolf there is
yes. Well,
magic.
hold on. Is that the Michael J. Fox Teen Wolf, or is
Yes.
that
Yes, it is.
the Jason Bateman one?
That to me looks like the Michael J.
Is that
Fox one, I think.
yes it is. Yes it is. Fuck yeah. Thanks for being in here, bud. Appreciate that. Um So yeah, are we done rolling on about that? Because we could probably
Yes.
sit here and literally make people nauseous with the amount of shit we could say.
Yes. So we I think we covered it well. Respect for sure, my man.
Yes, sir.
Great poll. So that to me was the kind of the biggest city news that bumped me between Thursday
And
and Saturday, really, because we had a show on Wednesday. We covered a lot. When we're doing these midweek shows when Champions League is around, the city news on Sunday night's a little bit less, so we'll try to have more um, bro talk, like mental health discussion we're about to have, and then
mhm,
maybe some more Q&A, fun game type things. But we're going to continue to evolve so we don't get
right,
relegated and forgotten.
right. Try to do the things that everybody else isn't doing, like have actual conversation and not just be so hyper focused on the team that you just sound like a fucking robot. That gets boring after a while. Other
Yeah.
podcasters who may be watching, just so you know. So yeah, let's move into the fact that we are reaching the fall season. Depression and anxiety and all of those wonderful mental illnesses like to strike themselves up. And they recently took a life over there, which was very sad to hear, especially at the very young age of 24. Jack Badgers, he played for Abington United, a non-league side. I find it very relatable. I know that in my own life, I've had my own struggles with depression and anxiety. I am actually a diagnosed I'm diagnosed major depressive disorder, and I have really bad anxiety. I might even have ADHD, and that's just not being covered. You can probably tell sometimes when I'm talking and I lose complete train of thought of where I was at. That's the ADHD happening. But no, it this time of year when the sun starts going down a little bit earlier, the skies are a little grayer. The temperature isn't as warm, and you feel like bundling up. It certainly brings in the feelings of loneliness and disparity and all of those things. I want everybody here listening tonight to know and understand that yes, we're a podcast about city, and yes, we talk a lot of fucking bullshit, but we are here at any given point in time. I know it probably sounds ridiculous coming from somebody who suffers from it, but I think and honestly believe that there's not any better person to talk to about things you may have going on in the mental health realm than somebody who already suffers from it, because they have probably gone through it. They are probably working on themselves. I know for me specifically, I go to therapy once a week. I talk about my issues. I am on medication in order to keep the balance in my brain, because I can go I can go a little off. Everybody's got past traumas, and I hope that in hearing this and finding out about Jack and his story. I mean, it's such a young age to go, especially when you're a competitive person. You're playing in a sport like this. I know probably being down in the non-league, it has its very dreary days because you're not at the level you probably want to be, or getting towards the place that you want to be in life or with this game. um, but at the end of the day, guys, there's a bigger plan for you. It may not be what you wanted it to be, and you need to keep your eyes and your ears open to the lessons that life are constantly teaching you. I think a lot of us get wrapped up in the things that we're not getting out of life, and a lot of it is your own doing. I firmly believe that. I feel like every situation you have control over for the most part, especially when it comes to controlling your happiness and your sadness. Best thing you can do if you're somebody who doesn't feel like they have a place, find the place where you feel the most accepted. And if faith is maybe your outlet. One of the things that Theo Vaughn said on one of his podcasts that I heard from him, this was actually right after he had gotten sober. He was started talking about God, and I know there's probably people in here that don't want to hear God talk, but suffice it to say, there is people out there that have beliefs, and I would like to make sure that those people are well represented in speaking rather than left out. Um, but if you're somebody who is a person of faith, always remember, and this is something Theo Vaughn said, always remember that no matter where you are in life and who you don't have there to speak with, you always have a best friend to talk to. You may not get the answer that you want right off rip. You may not get the answer at all, but I think that that's the universe's way of saying this wasn't meant for you, and I have a bigger plan for you. Just be patient. And I think that's a lot of what we need to do in life is we need to stay patient and understand that just because we want it, just because we think we have to have it, doesn't mean we're going to get it. And that's okay. Because that means, like I said, I feel like I'm recycling this. There's a bigger plan for you. And taking your life is the most cowardly thing that you can do. And I'm not calling Jack Badgers a coward because it takes it takes a lot for you to even make that attempt at yourself. And the fact that he went through with it is heartbreaking because there is so much more life that he could have lived, and there are people that he left here behind that love him and that care about him, and you have to think about that shit when you get down in your dumps. There are people here that love you and that care about you, and you may not even know that they're there. Reach out. We here at the Snobby Boys, we are always open to talking. Excuse me, I'm getting a little choked up. Whew.
I'll finish a little bit of what Colby was talking about. The two of us are on our social medias for X, on Instagram, Facebook. We check that on a regular basis. So if you are ever feeling alone, down, sad, upset, frustrated, and you think you don't have anybody to talk to, send us a DM. Some of our other city brethren put these out on a pretty regular basis, almost every week. I know Tone does this quite regularly. The Not in My Lifetime boys, City Luke, all regularly put out. If you are going through something, please reach out. You are not alone. You have a voice in us if you need to talk to somebody. We're
We
always
want you
around.
here.
Yes, 100%. And it's not as you can see, Colby's emotional right now. That this is not just us saying it just to say it. We truly 100% mean that shit. We will take time out of our day to talk with you if you are going through something. We are here for the community and for folks who are going through it because it's touched both of our lives heavily.
I've been down that road, guys. It's a dark and scary place, and I don't want anybody ever to go down it.
Facts. So please reach out. Please find something that you're passionate about and dive headlong into it. It could be something as simple
You got
as,
to dig deeper.
yeah, whatever you're passionate about, whatever it might be, throw yourself headlong into that and you'll find people like you that are into the same things you will, and you'll find your people. A lot oftentimes people that feel like they don't have their person or their people or their community. Spend some time in reflection. Think about, like Colby mentioned, like what are you into? What do you like? And there's going to be now more than ever, there is a way to get connected with those kind of people via social media, internet, whatever it might be. There are so many pieces of information out there for you to utilize and to get yourself into a place to get into a better spot mentally. It's so important.
If you do not feel comfortable talking to us because we are strangers to you, there are hotlines. There
Hmm.
are ways through the internet, betterhelp.com, um, of finding the help that you need. Um, yeah. Stay here with us.
Please.
All right. Ah!
There you go. Sometimes you just got to let it out. See, again, this is real shit, and we're not just like mouthpieces saying this. This is real stuff right here. Okay,
For sure. Excuse my red eyes. It looks like I just smoked a fat joint now. Who's this coming in at the wrong time talking about fucking shit that's already been passed? Who are you? Holland should get a red card retroactively for throwing the ball into Gabriel's head intentionally. I'm excited for Pogba to announce the 3. Okay, that's cool.
Move
Nobody
on,
cares
sir.
what you have to say, honestly. You're in the
Now
wrong
is not the
spot.
time.
If you would like to, you could kindly fuck off. That would be great. Sorry to be, so emotional and then turn right back around and have this twat fart come on here and talk shit. You're a bell end. Move on.
Read the room, my friend. Now is not
Yeah.
the time to bring up that bullshit. Okay.
I can never say I felt deep thoughts of depression, anxiety until I hit 40. It's like all of a sudden you're evaluating your life. And for a lot of men, that really is the case, not to jump back into the mental health thing, but like, there's a societal pressure that I feel, especially with men, is put on us early, that we need to fulfill certain X marks by a certain time. And honestly, for a lot of us, we're close to 42. Um, even for me myself, I mean, I don't have everything I wish I had in life at my age, but I'm working towards it. But because of that pressure, I believe that people, especially men, go down these big rabbit holes and tell themselves that they're not good enough for the world, they're not good enough for this person, they're not good enough for this job, they're not good enough for whatever it may be in their life. And that's just not true. That's evil shit in your head telling you things that aren't true at all. The one thing that Gunnar said earlier on is you got to keep pushing through, and that's just it. You have to push through because there is a tomorrow.
Ready to play a game?
Yeah, I think we should play a game now. Oh my god! All right, so guys, over the last couple of weeks, I have been doing a game here with Joe called "Who's That Baller." What it is I take some pictures of players from not only the present but also the past, and we do a little silhouette of them. I'll give you guys in the comments as well as Joe about 20 to 30 seconds to guess who the player is. Obviously, there's no like prizes or shit like that. There will be maybe one day we can get some people in the comments to be contestants and bring them on and have a little game, and we'll do some prizes maybe later on. But just to get it rolling, we've been doing this. So without further ado, we're going to jump into this. All right, Joe. And comments. Are you ready?
0 for the first go around, 3 out of 4
Yeah.
last time. Let's see what tonight brings. I will make no promises on my skill at this game yet. We don't know how good I am because we only have 2 data points. This will be a good test.
Right. So yep, and I've actually jumped it up one more guess. So we have a wild card this week.
Oh boy.
Going back from the original 4. So yeah, there's a little extra chance for you to redeem yourself if you decide to go down. So with that, let's get into the first one. Should have a little music or something going on in the background, right?
We'll have to load that in for next time.
Oh no, I mean, there's plenty.
Have like the Jeopardy too. Oh, there we go. I think I have a city player, right?
These will all be city players, just so we're clear. For now.
I have a guess. I'm not super confident, but I have my guess.
Let's see what the comments have said. City player, Gunnar.
See if Gunner's got somebody before I reveal my guess.
He actually guessed Martinelli.
And then he realized.
I'm gonna say that the hair on each of these people could be. I can understand. All right, do you have a guess?
I'm going Jackie Boy.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Final answer. Gunner guessed Silva.
I'm assuming Bernie would be that. Hey!
Ding, 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 ding. Jackie G, bro.
1 for 1.
That's a good start. All right. That is a good start. All right. Second one.
Looking at the wisps of hair popping up to try to give myself some.
Right? it's the little details that you have to find and to see or just memorize what the players look like on the site. Gunner guessed Kev.
He was not in with us recently, and I'm pretty sure you used Kev already.
We did.
So I'm going to go ahead and suggest to Gunner that it's probably not Kev. If you want to come up with a second guess.
Yeah, if you want to come up with a second guess, go for it.
To be fair,
I'm gonna give you about 5 more seconds before I press the play button before the answer is then revealed after. I should put a timer up here somehow.
See, we're learning,
right?
I'm gonna go with Gunner's previous guess.
Bernardo Silva
of Bernie Silva.
Is that your all's final answer?
That's Joe's final answer. Roll with me, Gunner. Nope.
Johnny!
Ah!
Johnny Stokes!
I was somewhat thinking that, but I was like, I feel like that might be Bernie's wispiness, but
Ooh, 1 for
goal score.
2.
Okay.
1 for 2. All right, going on to our third one. Now, I'm gonna just stop it here before anybody starts going on anybody who's current. It's not anybody current.
That looks like it's a picture from the back,
You would think. You would think. It's
but it's
actually
not.
it's actually a rather famous picture of this specific player, if I'm being honest.
Is that a shirt tucked in?
I actually can't remember if it is tucked in or not.
I was
I,
thinking the same as Gunner, honestly.
Gunner, I honestly, I'll give you that's close. I believe he was there when this player was there, but no, it's not Sterling. All right,
Getting some
5,
help.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, Leroy. That's probably
Leroy
wrong.
Sané?
That's probably wrong. Oh, fucking hell.
So fucking wrong.
The hair was I knew the
I was
pose, but the hair was fucking me up big time because it did
I
not
honestly
look like Joe Hart's hair from the cutout.
I honestly thought that you would get it off of the way the hands look. I figured you would see gloves.
That's what was throwing me off because I was like, it
Nice.
looks like it's the other direction, but then I was like, eh. That was a good one. That was a good one. Good pull.
All right. So this is technically the last one, but we're gonna have a wild card. You're now 1 for 2. See if we can probably try to bring him up above 50% on this one.
Ooh.
This one's going to be extra hard, and I'm going to give everybody a hint. He's one of the loudest sons of bitches you've ever seen on TV.
That sounds like a past player, obviously, then.
Yes.
The head shape somewhat leads me to believe it's somebody who's covering the Champions League currently.
Okay. Getting warmer. Let's see. Steven Smith. Steven Smith thinks it's Yaya, and Gunnar believes that it's Fernandino. I would probably say that Yaya is the closest to playing with this particular player.
Well, I feel like it's got to be Miko Richards.
Final answer?
I'm going to go with that.
Ding, 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 ding. Let's go. Let's go. All right, so he is two for 4. Let's see if he can take it up over the edge. This one is going to be a head scratcher. Okay. And I'll preface this before I put it up. This is a non-fictional character. Okay, he's not a real baller.
Not a real baller.
Not a real ball. Actually, you know what? To say that it could be a little bit ignorant because he may play ball outside of the show.
He's not a professional baller for like a current team.
No, not that I know of.
Okay, we'll go with
Okay.
it. There you okay. I know who that is.
Do you?
Yes.
Hold on. Let's see if the comments.
I'm not going to say nothing. I know who that is. 100%.
You know exactly who that is?
I am ultra confident that I know who that is.
All right. I'm going to give the comments.
Give them a few moments.
Give them a few moments to see
but I
if
know.
they know who that is. Do, 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 do. This is also a hint. Anybody? 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 All right, Joe. I'm gonna let. Not gonna lie, no clue. Okay. All right. You guys are all everybody who's watching this. When you see who the answer is, you're gonna kick yourself in the dick. If you know the show this is from. All right, Joe. What's your answer?
To me, that is it's a Lasso character. Yes.
I'm not telling. You have to guess who it is.
That to me is 100% Sam Obisanya.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna Nigerian him up.
Let's
go! Let's go! All right, Joe. Joe went over 50% tonight. Let's go.
Now I have 3 data points. We can safely say that I'm decent at this game.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. All right. I hope you guys had fun playing. Gunner thought that was Santiago Munez.
Gunner.
That's a pull.
We got to get you onto some Lasso, my guy.
I've never watched Ted Lasso, bro.
Please find a way to get an Apple subscription that somebody can lend him, and please watch that show, my guy. It is so good. So good.
It's dude, especially the last season's a little. It depends on your viewpoints in life, but the last season alone with Pep being in it, I mean,
come on, great.
Come on.
See if you can get yourself like a 7-day free trial, and it's not that there's like 10 episodes a season, so you can knock out those 30 episodes. You can, and they're 28. They're 28 minutes a piece. You can knock that out in literally 3 days if you've got the time with the free trial, and then you're good to go. When you say I watched it, it's brilliant show,
brilliantly done show. Especially for I for somebody who's new to the game, I honestly am a big promoter of watching that show first to kind of help usher you in a little bit better so you understand some of the bullshit behind it, but then also like some of the just standard stuff. You know what I mean? Seeing, and I know this isn't real locker rooms. We all know what real locker rooms are like. Jesus Christ, like some disgusting shit that probably goes on in some of these locker rooms that we don't see. But no, dude, it's a great show. It really is, and it doesn't for me. It doesn't dumb down the sport any. You get the jokes of the typical American things. There's even some pokes that are at British people, and it's all in fun. It's honestly the best comedy that's come out in a while. So. Yeah,
and gets the emotions going all at the same time,
and it makes you think. It gives you life lessons in it. You know what I mean? And I feel like we talked about this before. We've talked about this before. Shows lack value like that anymore. You turn on a show and it's pointless. What did you gain from that? What you wasted an hour of your life for what? Exactly. All right, guys. So we had promised a couple weeks ago that we would officially unveil our newest shirt to the collection. We finally put something together. I finally put something together to show you guys what it is. If you haven't been on our Instagram or been on our X recently, we did post a picture of it there. We haven't really made a whole heck of a big deal about it though, but tonight we're going to. So without further ado, check out the latest merch drop.
All Manchester City fans are glory hunting plastics. Every single one of them claims to have supported them since the 70s, even though they were only born in the 90s. But I'm willing to give Manchester City Plastics an opportunity to prove me wrong.
All
I've
right,
been doing
guys.
this the whole time. That's what was going
Yeah,
on.
I
I've been
watch
just
it.
rocking.
It's funny because on my end, it like it stopped moving, but I could hear it working through yours. So I was like listening for when the fucking the music would drop. But yeah, it was fucking awesome. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
so guys, if you want to cop the new merch, go over to our store. It's not, bonfire.com/store/snobby-store. Those will be available. We're actually going to be doing a bit of a reduction on our the amount of stuff that we have on there. So we will be getting rid of some shirts. I'm gonna maybe do a poll to see which one people don't like the most. But honestly, the analytics that we get for sales tells me everything I need to know. So thank you, Gunner. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate you guys being in here tonight. But yeah, we'll be getting rid of some of the things on there. So if there are ones on there that you're like, damn, I should probably get it, go ahead and try to get it now. The other thing that we're going to be doing too, coming soon, I think would be really good, is a loyalty program. People who do their part by helping us grow, whether that be sharing, liking, commenting, and doing it on a regular and consistent basis. We're going to do a little bit of a loyalty program, and we will be giving money, not money, percentages off on our merch, only exclusive to you. So be on the lookout for that. Another thing that we'll be doing in the future as well, which we meant to do in the past, I believe when we had Mull from the Noisy Neighbors on, was actually our intention to start our shirt swap initiative. If you've got merch and you want to swap and represent each other and do promotion that way, we'll be happy to do it. So anytime that we have guests come on, we will offer the shirt swap. So be on the lookout for that for all of our podcasters that have merch and want to do that. What else, Joe? Is that it?
I think we did it. I think we did it, bro.
Yeah. So again, thank you guys all for coming in tonight, hanging out with us. You could have been anywhere else in the world. You're here with us, and we appreciate that. It all goes completely noticed. We see you all. We love you all. Make sure you hit the like. Make sure you hit the subscribe. Make sure that you hit the bell for notifications for any time that we put content out on YouTube, Rumble, and X. I believe there's a way you can do notifications. But until Wednesday, when we review Bratislava.
Watford, not Bratislava. Watford.
Oh, Watford.
The EFL. In the EFL Cup.
Fuck.
We play Tuesday against Watford. Going to be a much changed side from today. We'll probably see a lot of the young lads on Tuesday. So Wednesday night we'll be recapping Watford.
Thanks for fixing that, because I would have went on thinking that Champions League was on Tuesday.
I just peeked at that. I was like, let me double check that, because I feel like it's EFL, but I'm not sure either. So yeah, EFL Cup begins, third round, Man City versus Watford.
I think we got this.
We'll be okay.
You know why? Do you know why I think we got this?
Why?
All of the time, say that you need me, say that all of the time, all of the time. Why is it showing the thing? Bullshit.
Have a good night, lads.
Peace.